Hey guys, it's Preston. Um, I'm back here to talk to you about hormones and about the right decision when to start taking hormones. And a few things I'd like to talk about is making the decision to start hormones, finding a hormone prescriber, physical and mental health, and deciding on a care plan. So I'm basically going to be talking about things that I've read on this website, basically outlining every step that you need to take in order to start hormones. So every bit of information that I'm telling you is factual, it's not based off opinion. So the first step when you're starting hormones is you want to make sure that you're ready for them. So there's like no right or wrong way to make the decision to start hormones, and it's like any other big life decision. You have doubts and fears and anxieties based around hormone therapy, but it is very important that you're sure that you want to make the steps towards starting hormones, because some of the changes that you experience through being on hormone therapy you cannot undo. um, And so most of the time through life, we know from our own experiences and from listening to people that all of our situations are unique and that I guess, there's no one way to make the decision to start HRT. Um, and there's no simple one time yes or no answer. And it's often a long process shaped by the feelings you have based around your transition, your beliefs, and circumstances that are not in your control, such as your health, money, family responsibilities, and limited access to services such as medical services like for hormone treatment. And so we need to make the decision for hormones like we make a decision, like every other decision in life. We need to. So some trans people look for a strong feeling internally that hormones is the right thing to do with their lives at that moment in time. They don't want to be influenced by outside sources. They know that that's what they want to do. You know, some trans people are like that, but other people they want to get opinions from friends, family members, other trans people, counselors, or your doctors, etc., to help yourself make that decision to start. For me, when I started, I wasn't necessarily thinking in the long term. I was just thinking about how I was feeling in the short term, like in that moment in time, because when I started, it was more like an irrational decision. I didn't think about how my mental health was affecting me at the time, and so my mental health declined quite a bit. And so, that being said, you want to be very careful when you decide to start your hormones if you're in a good place mentally, and you have to be in order to do that. So, so whatever way you decide to make your decision, a few things that you should take into consideration. I'm going to read these from a list because I found some things online and I'm thinking it might be better to just read it from the list instead of just putting it into my own words. So, do you have a clear mental picture of what you want life to be like after you start hormones? So, like, do you have a mental picture of in 5 years what your life's going to be like on hormone therapy? Um, what your life's going to be like in 10 years on hormone therapy? How do you feel you might feel if the results don't match your mental picture? Because for me, when I first started hormones, my idea was, oh, my facial hair is going to come in within the first year like everybody else. Not everyone's the same. Like, I barely have any facial hair still, and it's like almost 2 years in. And I just shaved today, so I have way less than I did. But I don't grow a lot because it's just me. Like, everyone's different. Do you think hormone therapy will like fix anything like going on in your life? And so if what, etc. So there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration when you're starting hormones, because there's a lot of questions you may have, and you might want to ask those questions beforehand, so when you're going through hormones you don't have to ask those questions, because then you'll know. And a good way to know if you're ready is to have a solid sense of your gender identity. So it's not for people who are just starting to question, explore, and to think through issues around gender identity. So if you're thinking about hormones as a part of your basic response to thinking about gender identity, you should give yourself some time to get a clear sense of how you identify and how the hormones that you will be taking will contribute to this sense of yourself before making your decision. So, and you need enough mental stability to make an informed decision about what you choose to do with your medical care. So, in a time where you're in crisis, such as like when your mental health's really bad, you shouldn't make the decision to start hormones, because you're not thinking clearly and you're not able to make a fully informed decision based off of how you're feeling. And they say if you're having or finding it hard to make general life decisions because you're overwhelmed by anxiety, depression, or drug or alcohol problems, family stress, work problems, or other issues, then you aren't in a good place to make the decision to start hormones, because you need to be in a healthy mental space at the time. I was not, so personally I cannot speak from experience how it would have been if I were to have started hormones after that I had gone to therapy, etc., because I just got a therapist recently after almost 4 years of not going to one. So that being said, it's made things a lot harder. And you need enough coping skills and supports to withstand the typical stress of hormone therapy, because going through hormones is like a roller coaster of emotions. It sucks. Like, most of the time people feel great after they start hormones the day of, but like most of the time you have a lot of emotional ups and downs because you're on hormones, and you're like, it's almost like you're going through puberty. Like, your hormones aren't level. It's hard to adjust about how your body looks and how you feel. For some people in your family, it's hard for them to accept the physical changes at first. And sometimes it can be a hard emotional process, and it can affect the support they can offer. So there's a lot of things that come into taking hormones. Your step 2 you want to do is find a hormones prescriber. And hormones can be prescribed by an endocrinologist, which is a hormone specialist, a family physician, or a nurse practitioner. So you can get your hormones from an endocrinologist, but it's not necessary unless you have like some other underlying hormonal disorder, like, I don't know what other, I'm not thinking, but you can get it from like a GP, like a family doctor. A nurse practitioner can prescribe hormones to non-trans people, and with a little trans health training can also do it for trans people. So in general, they can prescribe both for non-trans people and trans people, but they have to have special training in order to. So I guess there's a note here that I guess I should mention. It says nurse practitioners can prescribe estrogen, anti-androgens, and progesterone, male to female, but only a doctor can prescribe testosterone, female to male. So that being said, only a GP, a general practitioner, basically a family doctor, can prescribe you with testosterone if you are a female to male. So basically there's a chart that explains it. Do you have a family doctor / nurse practitioner who you feel you can talk to about trans issues? If not, find a new primary care provider. If so, Tell them you are trans and you want to start hormone therapy. The Transgender Health Program has information you can give them to explain trans health and hormone basics. So if you talk to people, they will give you more information. Depending on what insurance you have, they'll cover certain things. Like for my insurance, I get free health insurance through the state of California. So I have Medi-Cal, and so that being said, everything that I have is covered. So all my needles, all my alcohol pads, all my testosterone, everything's covered. Do you have training and experience with masculinizing hormone therapy? Meaning, like, do they have experience with, like, female to male? And if they do, or excuse me, if they do not, do you have a complicated health history? But if not, is your primary care provider willing to take training? So there's a lot of, so there's this literal chart online that tells you exactly how things work and like the steps to take if your healthcare provider doesn't do this, or if they do this, and what steps to take if they do and if they don't. So there's a lot of things that go into taking hormones. And the last step is physical and mental health assessment, or one of the last. So you need to make sure that with any medication that you're prescribing to a patient, that it is an appropriate form of treatment for the patient, that the patient understands what the meds will and will not do, as well as the person understanding what complications and health risks that go into taking this medication, etc. So you're supposed to have, I guess, a physical, and I had like 3 months of appointments before I was even able to start hormones. So you need to have a mental health assessment, and then you can also be seen by a trans experienced mental health professional if your nurse or doctor is so busy that the assessment by them will take a long time. So if what you're trying to do will take too long with your doctor, then you can ask to be seen by somebody who is experienced in dealing with trans individuals via mental health. And so you need a mental health checkup and a physical. And I had both of those done before I started transitioning. And so you need to do lab tests, you need to do a physical, and you need to give them your health history. So, like your parents, your health history. And for me, I was adopted, so I know nothing. So I basically went in there and was like, I don't know what's going on in my health history, mental health history. I just know what I have, so they work based off of that. So that being said, knowing that somebody knows absolutely nothing about their family health, mental health history, they were able to start me on hormones. And it took like 3 months. So that being said, it's really not that hard. And you decide on a care plan. So there's a lot of things, a lot of steps to take, and a lot of things to take into consideration when starting hormones. And for me personally, when I started hormones, there was a lot of things that I wasn't sure about. So I watched a lot of YouTube, and I followed a lot of people on Instagram, because Instagram for me has been so helpful for, I don't know, following people who have been on hormones for years, following people who've gone through surgeries, just seeing how, these people have transitioned, etc., and how there's so many different ways to transition. Everybody's journey is different. I think seeing all these different people on there just made me realize that not everyone is the same, and that everyone's changes happen differently. And that's what I needed to realize in the beginning, is because at first I expected things to happen fairly quickly and that I wouldn't have to wait a super long time to see many changes. But that being said, when my voice started to drop, I didn't notice it because I'm me. Like, I live with my voice all the time. Like, I'm not going to notice, when it drops. But after a while, I did start to notice it because, after a while, you're like, huh, my voice is deep. But anyways, there's a lot of changes to expect, a lot of things to take into consideration, a lot of preparation before starting hormones. And mental health is key, though. That's one thing I'm going to reiterate because for me, when I was starting hormones, I wasn't mentally in a good place. I was very depressed. I was really angry at the world and about my transition because I wasn't on hormones and I saw all these people, on hormones. Like, I guess the downside of actually being on social media is seeing all these people who are so far along in their transition that, you're jealous in a way. Like, I was at first anyways, but I don't look to those people anymore because it just doesn't make me feel better about myself. It just makes me feel worse. So I've just started to not focus on social media. I've started to just focus on myself and my own transition because if I follow people who are transitioning and I see that there's certain changes that I want for myself that are happening to them earlier on in their transition, it makes me feel bad about myself. And it's not like I don't support other people's transitions. It's just for me personally, if I see certain things happening for somebody else that I want for myself, I get jealous. And I guess it's just a natural human reaction is like when you see something you really want, sometimes you get jealous. And like, I can't help it, but it just happens. So just keep a lot of these things in mind. And if there's anything else you want to know, I guess just let me know. I just wanted to make this video about hormones and just talk about a little bit about how I would approach starting hormones. Like I said, in the beginning, it's a tough, start because it takes a little bit, but once you start, it's a fast process. Like, the days go by so fast. Like, I didn't expect 2 years to go by this quickly. Like, it's almost 2 year mark. It's August of this year. I'll be 2 years on testosterone. So, yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. Anyways, if there's anything else you'd like me to make a video on, just comment down below and let me know. You can like and subscribe if you want. I make videos every now and then about transgender people, issues, frequently asked questions, anything like that. So if there's anything you'd like me to talk about, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Alright, well, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.